Good morning to you, Alison from California this morning. Welcome to Give Me Five. Alison, it's been so many years. You're a good friend of mine. It's been many years since we've seen each other. And you look wonderful. It's great to see you. And a lot has happened since I last saw you. Alison, Good People. What a great title for a children's book. It's nice and simple, it's lovely and clear, and it's to the point. What actually made you write this book?
Well, I wrote Good People, and here's actually a copy of it.
Great.
This is the cover. I love the illustrations.
Me too.
But I wrote Good People because as a child, I was actually sexually abused.
Yeah.
And it's everything I wish someone had told me without giving too much information away.
Yes.
So it's setting the stage for a child who might have been put in a position that children should never be put in. It gives them enough information to be able to go to someone that they trust, but it doesn't give enough information for a child who hasn't been exposed to evil. It doesn't give them the information to fabricate something.
Yeah, so it's been done very sensitively by the sounds of it, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Well, truthfully, it's everything I wish I knew when I needed the knowledge.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of someone's got to speak up for children. And there are good people out there. And if a child, because abusers, they threaten children. They say people are going to get hurt if you've got to keep this a secret. There's a ritual to abuse.
Yes.
And if we can forewarn children in the gentlest of ways, they'll be prepared.
Yeah. And that's...
Please God that it never touches the homes of the listeners of your broadcast. But the fact is, it's rampant and it's evil. And we as the adults in our children's lives need to do everything we can to put a stop to it.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And I can see that the Lord laid that on your heart to write that book. And you're the right person to write it, Alison, because you've been through a lot yourself. Now, I know it's a bit sneaky, but are adults allowed to read your children's book? I mean, what will adults gain from reading your book?
Great question. I was speaking in a different state in the United States, and I used my book as kind of like in my conclusion to what I was speaking, and then sold it afterwards, which, they had asked me to do.
Yeah.
And after this event, someone came up to me and they said, two adults got it, a mother and her daughter. The mother got it for her kid. Excuse my little, this is my assistant.
Hello, Pug.
So a mother got it for her kid, and the grandmother got it too. And the grandmother was weeping because she realized that her daughter had tried to tell her about an event in her life that she couldn't hear. And so the mother went to the daughter and repented for not hearing. And it really brought reconciliation. And the daughter came to me in tears. She said, my mom never believed me. And we had a culture of silence. And that's what this book is attempting to do, is to break the culture of silence around abuse. And I think the world has come a long way.
Yes.
Because back in the day, in the day that this lady, she's young to me, she was probably 40 or something, but that's a secret that she'd had to carry because no one in her world would believe her. And so I've seen multi-generational healing because it's a simple story and the pictures are beautiful and it kind of disarms the adult reader. Yet the message gets to come through.
Yeah, it looks a fantastic book, and I love the illustration, as you say. I'm yet to read it, and I will. And I think it's wonderful that these secrets are actually exposed and people getting set free, and children as well, from such awful things in their lives that they carry around, and the guilt of it, when they need to be free from that. Now, will your book be translated into any other languages?
That's a great question. We are contracted with a publisher,
Yes.
and they want a lot of money to translate it.
Yeah.
So I have friends in Thailand, and it was for my friends in Thailand who work in the trafficking industry,
Yes.
Against the trafficking industry. And they wanted it, and they wanted to use it in their schools. And so they were very innovative. They have covered the text with their own language.
Right.
And that's what they're doing for now. And so I wrote a second book, and we're going to get a different publisher so that we can, it's similar content, but it goes a little further than Good People.
Okay.
So people say, well, do I need one if I have the other? The new one, which is as yet untitled, it might be good too.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe your listeners will have some good comments or suggestions as to what to call the new one. But I wrote another one that takes it just a little bit further, because I think Good People takes it so far.
Yes.
And the new one takes it just the next step to finding someone who will hear but stay near.
That's good, isn't it? That's
so Good People teaches you to take it to someone, but the new one teaches you to find that good person, the one who's going to stick with you through the process.
Yeah.
Of healing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And
so anyway, yes, we want it to be publishable in other languages. My husband and I were 30 years on the mission field, and so other cultures our heart beats to the tune of other cultures.
Yeah.
And that is a big part. And because it's not possible with this particular one, I wrote another one. I also have a series of 5 books that are kind of character books, and we're waiting for the illustrator for those.
Brilliant. Now,
yeah,
you got...
and another book. I have another
tell
one.
Tell us.
So I'm writing a book for Christian parents of gay children.
Okay.
And I don't know what the title of that is yet. It might be Help My Kid is Gay, or I don't know. But one of our kids is gay, and that child said to us, "You need to write a book," because he has friends in the gay Christian community whose parents are rejecting them, throwing them away, don't know what to do. Well, to be honest with you, nobody knows what to do as traditional Christian background. We don't know what to do when we get this kind of revelation from our child.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a book that my child requested me to write, because the experience of his friends has been pretty devastating.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's the adult one, and that's a work in progress. And to be honest with you, it's kind of a soul-searching work. Yes, because how are we going to respond when we get this kind of news? How will we respond if a child comes to us and says that someone's touching them inappropriately? These are good questions for us to kind of figure out in advance and really work through potentially.
Yeah, of course, Alison. So I know that you've been into schools promoting your book. How has that gone down with the children, young children, and the teachers?
Another great question. The first time I did this on Guam, they gave me middle schoolers. So middle school is kind of 11 to 13 age range.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my Gideon, I have to go and face these 11 to 13 year olds with a children's book that looks like this. And I was really scared, and obviously I prayed about it. And those kids were like this.
I can imagine.
They hung on every word. Now, I took a girl with me who is a local girl from she's Chamorro from Guam.
Yes.
And she was such an asset. So we tag teamed, and she looks like the kids, talks like them, is like them, and she was perfect.
Yeah.
And so her name's Ashley, and I took her with me because I didn't want to open a can of worms and leave no one in the community that couldn't handle what might come up.
Understand.
And so that was important to me. But between us, those kids were completely into it and completely engaged throughout the whole book. And then we followed it up with a picture. My daughter, Heather Zimmerman, she has a PhD in international education, and she devised a picture kind of like a good touch, bad touch. And we talked about how everyone's different.
Yes.
And then had the kids color in the picture.
Beautiful.
As to where it was okay for people to touch and where it wasn't okay for people to touch. And even in that, it was interesting, people's boundaries and how different they are.
Yeah.
But during the reading, I kid you not, Jeannie, you could pick out of the crowd the kids that knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I said to the counselor of the school, I said, if you sit at the front with me and watch, you will be able to see who you need to target for love.
Yeah.
And so good. It was quite powerful.
Yeah, can you imagine that?
We also did it in the Philippines, and the same thing again. They had from pre-K, which is like nursery school, all the way up to almost graduating high school. And they're just so in tune with the material, which has to be something that God has done and not something that I think a man could pull off.
Yeah. Yes.
Or a woman.
Yeah. I think this is very educational today, and it's something that does need to be addressed. It's not nice. It's not a nice subject, but it does need to be addressed, does it not? So, Alison, what's next for you?
What's next? Well, in the back of the book, I tell the story of my son having a catastrophic accident.
Yes.
And in the mercy of God, he survived.
He did, yes.
And it can only be the mercy of God. The child is a walking miracle. And we're very, very grateful. So I do feel that there's more stories to be told. So possibly, we've had an amazing missions adventure.
Yes.
We've lived on the island of Kiribati, where we lived in a grass hut with no plumbing and no electric for a season of time.
Wow.
And there's lots of stories, character stories of the way that God has molded us, maybe because we were so stubborn, or maybe because we were so human and needed his hand of love and correction on our lives. And so, Bug is talking.
Yes.
And so I believe that there will be more books, but I also feel that our missions story is not over yet.
Yeah.
And so, Lord willing, we'll return to the field. We want to spend the latter years of our life in a meaningful way and making the maximum impact that we can. And if we can entrust to faithful ones, then we will do that.
Yeah.
God willing, we'll be in the Philippines.
Yeah. And so, Alison, if people want to buy your book, where do they go to buy your book? How can they?
Thanks for asking. So Amazon, I know Amazon. I have a niece who bought it in Amazon UK.
Yes, I've seen.
Amazon US. So it's at Amazon, or we've gotten it from Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
And if anyone has trouble getting it, Good People Books, Good/People Books or something. I don't know. My daughter made it. I'm not on that side of things. You can find me through you, Jeannie. If anyone wants to know, you can forward my information.
Thank you.
And we'll be happy to sort it out for people. But the easiest way is Amazon UK and Barnes and Noble.
That's great. Alison, I am looking forward to reading your book. It's going to be hard because of the subject, but it sounds a fantastic book. And may the Lord bless you and your husband Rob in all that you do. You've been fantastic to interview. You really have, and you've been very honest and very open. Alison, there's only one thing for it. Give me 5. Yay! God bless you, Alison.
Thanks, Jeannie. Love your friendship.
And you too. God bless my friend.